Hi, Chris from Channel X here. Delighted to be with Kilian from the refurbed marketplace. Welcome, Kilian.
Hi, Chris. Really great to be here today.
So you've got some big news out. I know, and I'm going to come to it in a while, which is you've hit a massive milestone in sales of £1 billion of refurbished tech sold. But I want to go right back to the beginning. What were you doing before refurbed? And what made you want to found a marketplace for refurbished tech products?
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to go back from where we came from before reaching this, I think, amazing milestones where we were really proud of as a company as well. So I started my professional working career at Amazon in Germany. So I worked for the German Amazon headquarter on the marketplace side. So I was supporting the largest electronic sellers selling their products on the Amazon marketplace across Europe. And after approximately 1.5 years of doing my job there as a marketplace account manager, I was asked to take over the Amazon Renewed program, so the refurbished program of Amazon, and launch it from the States to Europe. And was mainly like in charge of defining the quality criteria, which partners we want to onboard in the European Amazon sphere, and then also discussing together with the marketing and PR team how we want to do the market launch. So this was, if I remember correctly, 2015, 2016. In 2016, the launch was happening. Germany and the UK were the first markets which were launching the Renewed program in Europe. And we then directly realized that a lot of customers are not really proactively searching for it. So I think this was also the interesting part of Amazon, why Amazon was doing that, because they realized that there are customers which are using the Amazon search bar for searching for refurbished products. And the goal of Amazon was at this point of time to really bring these customers an offering which they would like to buy. As Amazon wants to be the everything store, of course, the goal was to literally offer every customer whatever they are searching for. And at this point of time in Europe specifically, they didn't have an offering for refurbished products. So customers were leaving Amazon if they really want to buy a refurbished product and bought it somewhere else. So the program was therefore established for really bringing these customers to the products. At the same time, it was not really a strong focus on bringing customers which are willing to buy new products, like the new condition of a product, to lead them to a refurbished product. I mean, it's pretty clear why. It's also economic factors. They just make more money with selling new products. They have direct relationships with some of the manufacturers for buying the new products on the retail side. So it was a bit of a conflict of interest, of cannibalization, I would say, which Amazon went through in this regard. And this kind of created, of course, a bit of frustration on my side, I would say, because when I was in charge of this program, and I also have to admit that this was the first time I ever was introduced to refurbished products. So I never heard about them before. And when I heard the benefits of a lower price, a warranty, and at the same time you do something good for the environment, for me, it was kind of a no-brainer that everyone should buy refurbished products in the future, and why overall people still buying new products. So it was a bit of a frustration for me that I saw that Amazon is not really focusing on it and wants to continuously increasing the new sales, but not really the refurbished sales. And this was then the time when I met my co-founder, Peter, who I studied together with in Shanghai. And he was a consultant at McKinsey at this time, was consulting the biggest marketplaces across Europe. And then we both sit together and was thinking about that probably there is a huge market gap for a marketplace which solely focuses on refurbished products. That was a starting story.
Because I have to admit, I don't think of Amazon as the place where I'm going to go and buy a refurbished product most of the time. I put something in the search bar and purchase. Maybe I should look a bit deeper. But you set up Refurb, I think, in 2017. Can you talk a bit? I know that people are going to be interested in the sustainability side. How much better for the environment is it for me to buy a refurbished phone? And also, people do worry, as you alluded to, that when they're buying a refurbished product, is it going to work? Is the battery going to be any good? Is it going to have a cracked screen or a scratched screen? How do you convince people and give them that trust that when they buy a refurbished product, it is going to be in the condition they expect?
Absolutely valid question, the questions that you ask here. So I think first of all, the importance when we founded Refurbed, also as a founder team, it's three of us, like next to Peter is also Jürgen, our CTO, and myself. And we really wanted to create a company which fulfills a positive impact on the planet. So which really has a purpose. And is doing just by operating itself a positive impact on the environment. And I think this makes also our business model in general so interesting, because in our case, economic growth and profitability, as well as sustainability impact, is kind of hand in hand and not working against each other. So that was for us a really important factor in the beginning. We also realized exactly what you said, right? That people, specifically in the past, but I think the majority of society is still the case, that they only know new products and used products. And this product category in the middle, which is refurbished products, is not really well known in the, let's say, in the general society, right? In the majority of the people in the society that don't know really what it is. So for us, it was a big challenge.
I think just jumping in there, one of the big problems has been people have kind of put that refurbished tag onto products which are just second-hand, and people have been used to thinking, okay, they're saying it's refurbished, it means they polished it and put a new power cable with it or something, and they haven't really refurbished the product. And I think there's been a lot of worry from consumers on what refurbished is. So how do you address that with consumers and let them know that the product really has been professionally refurbished?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it is a problem that people put refurbishment to the kind of wording of used, and refurbishment has nothing to do with used. Like a used product would be that I kind of hand over you my phone now, maybe did like a reset of it, and then that is a used phone transaction. If you're talking about refurbishment, what does it mean? It's mainly from big corporates. So like big corporations, could be like fictive names from the UK, or if it's British Airways or it's Barclays Bank or something like this. They exchange their company equipment of smartphones and notebooks every 1.5 to 2 years. And then they put all of their, let's say, used phones, used laptops in a big box and sell them to a refurbisher. And when the refurbisher receives these products, the first thing that they are doing is a proper and certified data deletion, which I think is really important. It goes much further than just a reset of the device, but a much more in-depth certification of data deletion. And as I mentioned, also financial institutions providing products. Of course, you can imagine how the regulatory requirements are for data deletion for these kind of products. So that is a first step of the refurbished process. In general, the refurbished process contains up to 40 steps. So data deletion is the first one. Then it's about a check about the individual components of the device. As you can imagine, a smartphone has more than 100 components, so it's a really complex built product. And in the testing, it's really asking which component is not fully functionally. So for example, if the microphone has a little defect, then the microphone can be exchanged. If another component has a defect, this component gets exchanged. That through this whole process, at the end of the process, the product is literally functioning like a new product. And then depending on the condition, it can even look like a new product. And why it's so sustainable, it's because only 2 components on average are replaced. So if you're talking about a product which has more than 100 components, if we're only replacing 2 components to extend the lifetime, that makes it so much sustainable. And as you asked, like how much more sustainable it is compared to a new product, on a CO2 level, it's up to 80%, and pretty similar for electronic waste, because the majority of CO2 emissions, of course, is created by the production of the device, which in our case doesn't have to be the case. And on the question on the trust element, which of course is one of the most important elements, I think, also for us to be successful, it is about that. For every, like when we talk about refurbished products and the offering on our refurbed marketplace, every customer gets at least 1 year of warranty. So if he buys a product, he can be assured that whatever technical defect which was caused by the device is happening within this warranty period, the device can be sent back for repair, for replacement, or even the money back if it's not possible to the other 2 options in the beginning. In addition to that, we also have a 30 days free return policy, because we realized exactly what you said, that customers are a bit conscious if it really works, right? It sounds amazing. You can save money, you get a warranty, you do something good for the environment. So kind of where's the catch, right? That is often the question of people. And so we realized that if we enabling them of, just trying it out, having this 30-day testing period in which time they can just test it. And if they don't like it, they can send it back for free, get their money back. So there's no risk involved for them. That is why they realize, wow, it literally works. So what is promised is literally working. And for this reason, then they stick with the products, and we have a really, really minor return quote for products within the first 30 days for no reason, because they are really convinced that it works. And I think this is a really important element for the trust building, which also in different kind of stages also differentiates us towards partly competition, but also, for example, peer-to-peer platforms where you can also trade devices from a private person to a private person.
Yeah, and I think that's fascinating, because it's almost like buying a new product. You're getting a 30-day exchange. You're getting a product that works like new and probably many cases looks like new, but you've also got that 12-month warranty if a defect does happen after that. And you can't really ask for much more than that from a refurbished device. So what I want to ask now is about the people retailing on refurbed. What sort of companies are there, and how do you vet them, and how do they get invited onto the platform? And I'm guessing these companies have got to have reasonable scale, because testing 100 different components on a phone and replacing any faulty ones, that's not going to be a sort of something you could do in your back bedroom. These have got to be sizable companies, I suspect.
Exactly. So, as I mentioned before, like for us, quality and trust is a really important element, and I think it's one of the bases for success for any company working in this industry, because it's still such a new market if you're looking into the industry compared to a lot of the other industry in general. So, we really want to lead by example here in regard of quality and trust building. So that means when we're looking to our partners, we currently have around 260 partners across Europe, which are doing the refurbishment. And what they are doing, they are not like these, let's say, corner shops at the train station where there's one person repairing. As you said, that is not really scalable. You cannot really ensure that the quality standards are already set in the best possible way over time. So we're only working with proper companies, which on average have between 20, a couple of hundred people, which doing a couple of millions per year turnover. Some are even in the 2-digit millions of turnover. And they are refurbishing a couple of thousand devices per week or per month. And they're using kind of the same components, the same materials and replacement facilities than the manufacturer using in the production, because of the complexity of these products. So we have a really high standard of professionalism of our partners, but we also are therefore really selective on who we want to work with. So as I mentioned, first of all, the size of the company is always proven to ensure that they are also able to scale together with us. And we also, of course, check where they're getting the components for the refurbishment from, for example, to ensure that the spare parts that they're using are the best possible quality. We're doing checks on as well on mystery shopping, so that we are also buying products regularly from our partners to ensure to check how is the quality, how they were doing the repair. We're requiring specific softwares, certified softwares for the data deletion, as I mentioned previously, regarding also the standards on data security on a European level, to really ensure that all of the data is wiped off each device which is sold on our website. So we have really strict criteria to ensure that really only the best refurbishers in the market are able to sell through our platform, so that the customer experience in the end for all refurbed customers is the highest as possible. And this is what we are constantly tracking every day, even with live data, to really ensure that all of the KPIs, which are important for a great customer experience, are in the best possible stage.
Now, I want to come on to your sales record, because it's phenomenal. I know you're operating in 7 countries across Europe. Sadly, I don't think you're in the UK, but I do know UK businesses could sell if they have a European entity. But how do you get to 1 billion sales, and what's the next goal? What's driving the company forward?
Yeah, so I mean, we would love to be in the UK, but as you mentioned as well, the Brexit makes it really difficult. So we really have to look in how it would be possible, because also the growth also on the expansion side from our platform is of course mainly driven by the free trade zone that we have in mainland Europe, or in Europe in general, also including Ireland, which allows us to just expand with the portfolio of partners we have. So we're not really required to launch a new country with local partners, right? So we can launch in a new country with the existing partners that we have. So, for example, we launched in Sweden historically without any Swedish partner. The same with Ireland. And then when we were live there, we onboarded local partners as well, so that we have now also Irish suppliers, Swedish suppliers, with also providing the products there for the market as well. So makes a bit of the complexity towards the UK in general. But on your question on the growth, I mean, as you said, right? Like, I think 7 European markets, of course, make it easier to reach this goal, because we have just a larger target group which we can reach, and more customers which are buying from us. Even if, of course, our core markets are still the German-speaking region, so Germany and Austria, which the majority of sales, also because they were both countries which we launched in March 2017, so are the most mature markets where we have a lot of customers regularly coming back and already purchased their 4th or 5th product with us over the last couple of years. So we were every year growing massively on the markets we are active in. We were really successful in the new launches that we had, and as you said, like the 7 European markets we're active in. So next to Ireland, Germany, Austria, we're also active in Italy, in Netherlands, in Denmark, and in Sweden. They're all performing extremely well. And this led us to reaching this 1 billion figure, which we now announced as well, and are really proud of reaching this year. So since we founded the company, 1 billion in sales. What is next? I think two important things to mention here.
I'm really curious, because I want to find out, are you just going to do more phones in more countries? Are you going to expand to different tech categories and expand the number of product types? Are you going to expand into maybe things like TVs and home appliances and all sorts I'd love to know what your thoughts are for the future, because there's so many products that could be refurbished, I think. Air conditioners and car parts. What are your long-term goals?
So there are many, of course. I mean, if you're looking on our list of things that you want to do, I think it's much longer than it's possible to reach in a short term of time. So we have to prioritize. But as you already stated, I think the next steps, also what the goal for the future is for us. I think first of all, it has probably 3 different pillars. I think the first one is product selection. So we originally started with smartphones and notebooks, 2017. We already have a couple of other categories. So we already have, for example, household products like coffee machines you can buy on our site from DeLonghi, as an example. You can buy kitchen products like mixers. You can buy hoovers. We even recently launched in the DACH region a Kärcher for garden equipment. So this is possible to buy. E-bikes we have even on our platform. So enhancing the product selection is one important goal for us, because we really want to enable our customers to buy their electronic equipment, but also further equipment sustainable, right? And often the starting point for customers is a smartphone, because it's the product that you most often exchange and has the shortest kind of life cycle of usage of an individual person, which we, of course, want to extend by adding additional product life cycles through the refurbishment. But then the second and third purchase of the majority of our customers is then other categories. So after they purchase a smartphone, they then realize, I need a notebook, I buy it refurbished, it worked well, my coffee machine broke down, or I moved to another flat and I want to buy a new coffee machine, I buy it refurbished as well on refurbed. So the product category is one big element of product selection extension. A second one is on a business model side. So we the whole time now talking about that you can buy a refurbished product from us. So we kind of talking about half of the cycle of the loop, right? When we talk about closing the cycle, closing the loop. The other half is that many people have a bunch of old electronic devices in their households, right? It's maybe smartphones that you have in your cupboards, maybe laptops and anything else. And we want to bring them back into the circle. So, for example, we recently launched in the DACH region our buyback program, so that we enable consumers now to send back their used smartphone, as an example, back to us and sell it back to us so that they get even a bit of money of it, depending on the age of the product, of course. And so we can then refurbish these products again. And going back to the sustainable point, which of course is really important because these products have so many valuable resources which are lying in the cupboards of our households unused. And from an environmental perspective, it's so important that we bring them back into the circle, that we are refurbishing them, or if it's too old, we recycle them to really take use out of it. So kind of closing the cycle is an important factor for us to also offering this buyback program. And then the third and last pillar, which I think a lot of potential going forward, is also our focus historically was always the end customer, the private person buying from us a smartphone, a notebook, a coffee machine. But we think there's a lot of potential as well on the business to business side. So companies which are more sustainable conscious and now considering much more about buying their company equipment sustainable with refurbished smartphones, refurbished notebooks. So that is also an area where we already started to work, and we have our own B2B team. But I think there's a lot of potential next couple of years going forward, also from a regulatory perspective, where a lot of sustainable reporting is required. So I think there are many perspectives right now where we have a lot of growth potential going forward as well.
Fantastic. Well, I think it's pretty obvious as a consumer, if you're based in Europe, just type refurbed into any browser and you'll find the refurb marketplace to purchase from. But for the recycling companies that may want to sell on refurb, Kilian, how do they get in touch with you? How can they apply to sell on refurb?
Yeah, so I think that there's an inbound page as well for all companies. You can see it in the footer of our website, where you can approach us with your contact information, that our supply and sales team can approach you, so that we can discuss, what the conditions are for working together. Also, of course, to kind of check if the company that you're operating is feasible of kind of filling our requirements that we're having to operate. But of course, we are really looking forward to any additional partner of ours which would like to make the life of consumers and businesses more sustainable with refurbished products. So I'm really happy to hear from you, and please reach out to us.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on achieving that £1 billion of refurbished tech sales on the refurb marketplace. And thank you so much for your time today, Kilian.
Thank you, Chris. It was a pleasure to be here today. Thanks.